Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Well, today we're going to look at a whole lot more questions that have been coming in from the viewers, which is fantastic. So with no further ado, I'll move straight into it. Let us begin with Carla Zena. One question I have, and I've never heard anyone talking about it. I have a companionship stroke magnetism with my husband. I have the 33rd gate 3 times and the 13th gate 1 time. And he has the 13th gate 3 times and the 33 1 time. Our communication is really interesting. We talk a lot and feel like dialogue is really an important part of our relationship. It's huge for me, but I haven't seen anyone talking about it. Can we consider this some sort of magnetism as well? Because if so, we have 4 times the prodigal channel when we're together, and it's super cool. We are also born almost 88 degrees apart on the same year and have all gates of the center of the Wa on the composite chart, -6 and 50. I'm a 6-2 left angle cross of alignment 2, and he is a 5-1 left angle cross of the alpha. Together for 7 years studying human design. Well, good for you is all I can say. Good for you. That sounds wonderful. And it is wonderful. But let's get our terminology right. It's not a magnetism as such. It is a companionship channel. And a companionship channel is when you have the same channel as your partner or your friend or whatever it may be. A few days ago, I had a client come to see me who had a very similar chart to me. And we had a lot of companionship channels. And it was fascinating, as it is fascinating, because it's like you see yourself in the other. It's you recognize what's in you in the other. And when we're talking about the prodigal channel, the 1333, there is this movement into the future for both of you, which goes, well, let's see what happens, designed to be adventurous, designed to be the prodigal son that goes away from the tribe, learns all kinds of things, and then comes back and enriches the tribe with their revelations. And you two both have it, and you have it multiple times. So damn right, it's super cool. And damn right, dialogue is going to be an important part of your relationship because it's part of the abstract circuit, which means it's about sharing. So you're sharing where you would like to go, you'd be sharing where you've been and what you've done. This is the channel of looking back to see where we've come from. So much to share, and to be in a relationship with that and going in the direction of like, what's exciting? What's an experience that can open us up? And to both have that? Yes, it's wonderful. Absolutely. Good for you. And you're both left angle. So there's also this extra way of being in the world in terms of being more in touch with the transpersonal nature. So really connecting to each other at a transpersonal level, to care about the other, to see what's going on with the other, to be able to listen to the other. I mean, you're both listeners and you're both revealers. So it's basically companionship channel. And that's really what I have to say about it. If you've been studying human design for 7 years together, then you've been talking about human design for 7 years, and you've been looking at all kinds of things. And you've been watching as a witness what's been going on with the friends and colleagues around you using this information. And you're on the journey together. And I really love that, as I'm sure you do. So thank you very much for the question. Good question. So now we go to Tim, and Tim has a curiosity about what's that painting behind me? Can we get a better look at it? Richard, that painting in the background is so cool. Can you show another view of it in another video? So here it is. The story of that painting, by the way, because everything in my house has a story one way or another. The story was, it came from an auction, an online auction in a Rave Human Design Festival, and I was contributing to that. And next thing I know, I'm in the middle of an auction bidding for a painting that's being painted during the entire festival. And I think the festival lasted for about 5 days. And it was painted by a reflector. And please forgive me, reflector, I've forgotten your name. I'm not very good at remembering people's names, but she was doing this, and we were seeing how far she'd got and what it was going to look like. And as you can see, it's the wheel in the human design knowledge, and it's also got this eye in it. And remember, it's been painted by a reflector. And it's the way she described, this is how I see as a reflector. People are like shadows until one of them becomes more distinct, and then she zeroes in on that one. Remember, the reflectors are here to be surprised, you know, as a signature, to zero in on something that is different from the background pattern. And we're all shadows until she comes in and zeroes in on a particular oddity that isn't in the pattern. Anyway, so that's the story of that one. So I hope you enjoy that. It's something that I have in the background because I love human design, and I love the color. I love the way she separated the quarters into different colors, and all the gates are there. And for someone who's been into human design for as long as I have, you know, the numbers have a magic to them, and I like to see them there. And the next question is from Christina. I just love watching your explanations and the lightness you answer all the questions. Thank you, Christina. Thank you. So here goes one. If the only definition in someone's chart is the 4037 in the personality nodes, would you say the tribal aspect of this channel is going to be only in the environment and the person does not have the characteristics in her? Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for the question. And no, it's in you as well. It's in the environment and it's in you. How do you know that? Well, you're an emotional being, are you not? Don't you have a warmth for the family? You know, don't you enjoy delivering to the family and loving the family and being close to the family and those that you love? When I talk about family, I'm talking about those that are part of your tribe, whether they're birth family or not. It will be part of your nature. And let me know if you think that is not the case. It also means that you're here to recognize or to be aware of the community around you as you move in your life. Now, that can be the community in many ways. It can be a business community. It can be a family. It can be an actual community. The connections between people. You know, it'll be the side of you that will be here to be the deal maker. You know, let's make the deal. Let's get the contract done. You know, let's really be responsible for ourselves in the community is another thing that it'll bring in. So hopefully that'll give you a few hints and recognitions that, yes, indeed, that is in you as well. So good question. Thank you. Now, the next question from Interstellar Cosmic Conversation really made me laugh, and you can see why. Thank you. Open throat here, and 62 and 31 gates activated. I am a splenic projector, and the 28-38 with the 28 twice. I'm a quad right too. Aren't we all so interesting? I'm the right angle cross of the vessel of love too. That really made me laugh. It's so wonderful to see. I think emoticons were probably made for open throats to emphasize more than they can say. And they came up when I printed it out large, and I thought, that's fantastic. And indeed, the question that you ask, you know, aren't we all so interesting? That is the point. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And to find out how interesting we are, we look to human design. We unravel the designs of others. You know, we get to meet ourselves and each other in a much more concrete and integrous way, because we understand who they are and they understand who we are. And there we have this platform to really explore the interesting differences from the amazing creations that each one we are. So yes, we are. And thank you for drawing attention to that. That is what it's all about. It's to really be able to appreciate the differences in you and the differences in the other, and to find out about it and to connect with it in the way that it's right for you. So thank you for the question, and thank you for the emoticons. Okay, our next question is from Admiss the Grey, and she writes, thank you for talking about repeating gates. I have a few, but the 32 is very prominent for me. I have 5 activations there. 1 in line 2, 1 in line 3, 1 in line 4, and 2 in line 5, in a defined spleen. Fear of failure has been a theme in my life ever since I can remember, but so has seeing the big picture and anticipating trends. I'm not really a trend follower myself, but I sometimes see patterns taking shape that I feel might become prominent in a big way. Interesting stuff. Also, thank you for touching on quad rights. I enjoy the perspectives of others there. Finally, I appreciate you talking about the 7 line 1. That's my design sun. Okay, Mr. Gray, thank you for your question. And a few things there. I always feel a little incomplete when I don't have the full chart in front of me to be able to answer the question directly to the questioner. But we can see that you have the 30-second gate 5 times. And in that sense, you are absolutely right. The theme of the fear of failure is going to be prominent in your life. You know why. But having the 32 in 5 times in 4 different lines does give you a greater perspective, a greater instinct for the change that can happen. So in that sense, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, and the 5th twice, you know, this is something that you can, they all are different aspects of the fear of failure and how to not fail. And it involves adapting to change and being ready to adapt to change, being alert in the spleen to, okay, we're going to fail if we don't bring in some new technology, or if we don't bring in some more people to be able to handle what's now happening. You know, you're going to see that at multiple different levels, which is extremely good. And also, when you think about what the 32 is also known as, it's known as the chief financial officer. You know, it's the one that will go, well, we've got to do something, which means we've got to invest the money into this technology or into this person. You know, where's a good deal? Where's a good value for our investment? So it contains that as well. So when you talk about seeing things from the big picture, I normally think of that as the 33rd gate. And I don't know if you have it in your chart or not, but this is the one in pentamechanics that really does have the memory to know what happened before and to let people know that if they're going to make the same mistake again, or they're going to do something that wouldn't work. But also you mentioned the 7 line 1. And the 7 line 1, as we know, is the authoritarian, the role of the authoritarian leader, there to make sure that the foundation is solid and before leading the people, before leading ourselves, indeed. So there is this other aspect in you that is looking towards the future, you know, and wanting to make sure that it's going to be the right move, the right step. And in that sense, you can see that both the 32 and the 7 in your chart will have some awareness of the trends coming, the trends that you're afraid of, you know, that may be coming, you've got to deal with, and the changes that need to be made and the alterations in the plan that need to be made as a result of that. So that's why you don't have to be a trendsetter. You just have to be aware of and ready to deal with the trends as they do change. Okay, I hope that was helpful and useful, and thank you very much for your question. I do appreciate that. And finally, we have a question from Vilborg about sixth lines. She asks, I have a question about having a lot of sixth lines as a 3-5 profile. 9 sixth lines and 4 of them in the nodes. In many ways, I've identified a lot with the sixth line process. And I've heard that Chiron returned is talked about for the sixth line profile and is not important for the others. So when a person has so many sixth lines in their body graph and not in profile, does Chiron return not matter for them? I see a lot of change in me after Chiron and don't identify with that. It doesn't matter for us that don't have a sixth line profile. Little by little, since my 30s until Chiron return, I disengaged from life, so to say, and now I'm getting more social again. Very important question, Vilberg. Thank you for asking it. And I myself have 7 sixth lines in me, and I'm a 1-3 profile. So I speak from my own experience in this as well. We are all affected by Chiron. We are all affected by the Uranus opposition. We are all affected by the Saturn return. It is part of the general stages of being alive and living through time. So we do all experience it. And it is all important to us. It's just for the sixth lines, it's a major issue in the profile. It's a major issue. I mean, the sixth line has a long-term maturing process. It's not until the Chiron return that they are then, if you like, put to the test to be authentic in their lives or not, to either be authentic or to be a hypocrite. And as Ra has said many times, for the sixth line profiles, if they don't get to that level of authenticity, they're going to suffer after Chiron. Up until that point, there's still a chance, still got time. But after that, yeah, it's a very much a deciding aspect, a deciding time in their life. But what about for the other of us, that have lots of sixth lines in us, like you and me? Does it make a difference? Yes, it does. And it is important. I agree with you. In my experience, it was like I knew intellectually about the sixth lines. I knew about how many I had in me. I knew about the Chiron, and I thought I knew. And then as I hit my Chiron, I discovered I didn't. I didn't really get it. I didn't really get it till I actually lived it. And there is a kind of level of wisdom that comes up in those six lines that isn't quite ready before that. Do you know what I mean? You're not quite there yet until you hit that age, and then, woof, there's a lot more transcendence about certain things that we used to concern us in the past. As an example, there is a maturing process in every sixth line that we have in our charts. That's absolutely the way it is. So if you think about the Chiron return, for someone who has a sixth line profile and the sun and the earth are 70% of the pattern of that person, it's major because of that. It's major because of that, because they're here to be that. They're really here to be that as their costume, as who they are at the profile level. And so if they're not being who they are, then it really hits them. For those of us with the six lines in us, the wisdom is released. We're here to be those aspects, those characteristics, to live that maturity. But it's not the same as the profile, because the profile is 70% of who we are. So I hope that's clear. And yes, there's a lot of silly information out there on human design about Chiron doesn't really matter and all the rest of it. There's so much. I don't look at most of it, or hardly any of it, but people tell me like you've just told me. So I'm glad to set the record straight. And at least from my perspective, from what I know, from what I've seen. And in that sense, that's why I'm doing this. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. And I did as well, obviously. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.